Hey Gemini, welcome to December 2020. Let's see if I can do your reading. I tried doing your reading yesterday and I just couldn't. I kept losing the message. I'm like, okay, now's not the time. I'm channeling these, so I guess they come when they want to come, the messages. And we got the star in reverse. Nice to start with that. Seven of Pentacles in reverse. I don't know, the star is the card of healing and it's in reverse, and so you'd think oh, I'd read the opposite way, the star isn't here, but even seeing the star in reverse, I just feel a sense of relief for us. Oh, and the Five of Swords. Yes. Beautiful. Okay, I think that's probably good for the Modern Witch Tarot, and now I'll pull from my Prism Tarot. I'm pulling from two decks. Why? I don't know. I just felt like it this month. And you being a Gemini, I would think that you would get it. Sometimes we just need two different ways of looking at things. We just need to kind of move back and forth between two kind of opposing energies to find some kind of alchemy of something much better. So that, what am I trying to say about alchemy? I'm trying to say, temperance didn't show up per se, but I'm just thinking about how when we can see things from that paradoxical state of two opposing things being true at the same time, things maybe can kind of open up a little bit towards this. Where do these two opposing ideas meet in the middle? There must be a liminal space. There must be kind of some overlap. What's the common thread? Okay. I don't know why I said all those things that I said, but I'm channeling, I guess. So I'm just going with the flow, hearing what comes, stream of consciousness, but maybe there's something helpful within it. Alright, King of Swords. Love it. Came up in your reading before. And so did the Page of Swords in reverse, but I don't see that here now. But what I was trying to start with that I kept getting tripped up on was sometimes it's okay to just admit you know what you're doing. Sometimes it's okay to just be like, you know what, I got this. I see things clearly. Clarity, the sun. I mean, what is definitely the song I'm hearing is the I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. Bleh. Can't sing. But it's from Cool Runnings, the movie where the Jamaican bobsled team doesn't win the race, but competes in the race, and they're formidable contenders. And they did their best, and they overcame the odds in their own way, and that was the real prize. So, I think, I'm just checking myself. Yes. Okay. Gemini, I'm getting all this weird, you're Gemini. The energy surrounding you, the energy I'm picking up on for your reading is very chaotic. It's up here, and then here, and then here. I just got a cat, and I'm relaying all my messages lately about cats, but this little girl, she just cannot stay, still. She's just very frenetic, is constantly moving, constantly exploring, constantly trying to look at things in new ways. Perceptive, right? We got this Oracle of Clouds, perceptive. And even when I'm trying to deliver your message, I'm Gemini, it's important to stand in your power. It's important to admit that you know what you know, and that is good that you have clarity and that you have perspective. But I feel part of the way that you're getting this is through ping-ponging. It's kind of like ping-ponging through a space. And that's how you're mapping the terrain of the space, is through this very intense kind of chaotic vibration. but we also got this exploration, right? I feel like with all of this energy, what you're really kind of being asked to step up into is allowing yourself to be you, allowing yourself to be a Gemini, allowing yourself to be curious AF, allowing yourself to not know what you're doing or where you're going, allowing yourself in a weird way to be kind of just reactive. Not reactive in an acting on it way, but reactive in a way of, like, again, that curiosity of, like, seeing where it takes you, following. It's like if your mind is, like, you're thinking 20 million different ideas all within a second, right? It's just kind of like this, like, you're getting a lot of information. It's like these quick downloads that are, like, there's, like, a glitch vibe as well. But, and, like, yeah, this reading's weird. I said it. But somehow, for all of these things not making sense, the paradox is that they make sense. They make perfect sense. Like, there's a lot of that clarity coming in. There's a lot of you trusting your own perception. There's a lot of you stepping into that power of, like, I know what I know. And people, because you've explored all the options and you've really been, like, kind of in that frenetic hyper state, getting a really strong lay of the land. Like, if I bring it back to the cat is very frenetic and, like, very all over the place and just constantly exploring, but she's gone to corners of the house that I've never gone to in years, right? Like, there was, like, a pile of dust sitting in my corner for literally 4 years, and I had never touched it in 4 years, and suddenly I'm getting the vacuum back there, and I'm dusting up that stuff that was there in 4 years, and now it's clear, right? Like, it's got kind of a freshness. So I'm talking about my cat. I guess I'm learning a couple things from her, but that's definitely the vibe I feel. It's like, I would have never gone to that corner and cleaned that dusty spot, unless I had a little chaotic demon monster in my house, right? Showing me these spots. And me chasing her around all day, it's like, I'm getting to know my own house, my own space, my own environment from a new perspective, and I'm seeing things differently, and she's also getting her own lay of the land. So, really weird, right? I guess, but there's this exploration, and this, you don't have to be getting a cat. I'm talking about metaphorically. This could be inner psyche work too, right? Where you're just, maybe you're like, oh, so-and-so is such a jerk, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I remember that time they did blah, 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 and then blah, blah, blah. And then you're just catching yourself and noticing those stories about so-and-so and all the blah, blah, blahs that they did and how that makes you feel, right? It's a lot of really mindfulness work, but the way you might be doing it specifically as a Gemini feels very unique and specific to you, which is just, it's not necessarily ordered. It's not necessarily a seemingly clean process. It might feel kind of like going down the rabbit hole a little bit, but it's like you're just following the train of thoughts and having a curiosity, as I said before, about the train of thoughts. So, and, like, this doesn't even have to be, like, deep-rooted trauma work or anything like that, right? I've, like, talked on these cards for, like, 7 or 8 minutes already. It's sort of like, yeah, I'm just saying, like, it doesn't have to be, like, your deepest inner wounds that you're grappling with. It's more just kind of viewing your mind in its own weather patterns, frankly. Like, how the clouds move in your mind, how often the rain comes. Just kind of, like, seeing the patterns that are within you, and you're maybe doing that by kind of, again, just following it. Random, and it might seem random and chaotic and frenetic and fast and all over the place, but really it's not. It's its own kind of, like, intuitive, guided process. When I was saying reactive, I just meant that you're, like, bouncing from one spot to another in terms of ideation or ideas or, like, whatever, that's fantasies that are coming up. Word association a little bit. Rather than, like, emotionally reacting to people out in your external world. That's different. Okay. Well, I hope that made sense. And I am drinking from my Alice in Wonderland mug. And that's kind of a Gemini mood to me. I'll show you Alice. There she is. That's not a bad thing. I love a little Alice in Wonderland story. I mean, it's like dreams is a good example of the energy I was talking about. You know, our dreams can bounce around a lot and they seem totally random, but there's like a method to the madness. So maybe even do some dream work, Gemini. Because I think there's a lot there that is ultimately just shining a light on stuff that was a little bit hidden from you before. Perceptive, seeing a bird's eye view of everything, lay of the land, knowledge and mastery of your own mind and your own weather patterns, and just like being this badass bitch. And then, because you've explored the inner recesses of your mind, and as such, I mean, we got this lovely Five of Swords in reverse, which is like, sometimes I just read reversals as like, let's just put this shit in the past, right? It's just like this happened. This conflict, and it was fraught, and it was unpleasant, and we don't need it anymore. We don't need to like carry it with us to the next chapter. I see the Star in reverse, right? And it's like, even if it's not quite here yet for me, this healing and like this new start and this new beginning, I mean, that's kind of what I'm feeling here, which is, I think, really nice. In a weird way. I am going to project my own scenario onto you a little bit, but only because I think my Gemini placements serve the reading in this case. Okay. Like, my Venus is in Gemini, so, you know, it's quite the doozy of a planet to have Gemini in. So where I think we're at, Gemini, is like, especially, and like, this doesn't have to be with love, this could be any kind of person. I know for me in my life, it's not necessarily a romantic love interest, but it's like how one relates to the idea of romance almost at large. And it's like, in the past, there's been so much just lying, betrayal, mostly through indirect, honest communication and fear and like control dynamics, and like just a fear of intimacy, really, and a fear of vulnerability, and a fear of like being real, and a fear of being exposed. And it's like, this has been the pattern, the Five of Swords, this conflict, this like trying to win at all costs, right? With this, it's like the traditional story of this card is like, this person won the battle or even the war, but like at what cost? They lost all their friends, and they played dirty, and they played unfair, and like this person's just kind of reviled now. Even though they won, what did they really win? They lost what really mattered, which was the respect of their peers and like a place in the community. So they kind of like alienated themselves through these self-fulfilling prophecies of like wanting power and wanting to be better than everyone else. And it's like, it's lonely at the top of the mountain, I guess, right? It's like, just what's the point of this process? Even what's the point of the Five of Swords conflict process? It's partly from a wound. Maybe that's part of what this earlier exploration of the inner mind was like, where is this coming from, this pattern of this Five of Swords and this need to be right at all costs, or this self-righteousness, or this anger. I'm not saying that our feelings of anger can't be valid, but, you know, how are we using our weapons, our words? When are we speaking up? When are we not speaking up? How are we holding our ground? How are we just being a leader? Question mark. Anyway, I think I went on and on about the past, but it's in the past. So it's like, the past is in the past. Great. Well, what now? Two of Swords. Like, I know I'm not Britney Spears. Untitled Tarot was so kind to give me a shout out, and I really appreciate it. And I appreciate those of you who are watching. I do. I can't believe people are watching. I think I prefer to think no one's watching, because it makes me more comfortable to be vulnerable myself. Because I guess I am in these readings a little bit. I don't know. Anyway, I was talking about you and not me. I was talking about us and the Two of Swords and this feeling of like, Oof, okay, I'm not gonna keep doing things the same way I've been doing them forever, but like I don't know what the new way of doing things is. Untitled Tarot mentioned Britney Spears, not a girl, not yet a woman, and I agree that that is a great reference for this kind of energy of like Britney Spears vibes, you know? Like, okay, I'm not gonna be Five of Swords girl anymore, and I'm gaining new insights about how I'm gonna approach things in a new way with like kind of that cat energy I was talking about, being open-minded and kind of getting a lay of the land in this kind of hyper fun, frenetic, crazy, chaotic way. These like quick uploads, quick insights, quick ideas, catching them all. So we're doing that, but then there's a Two of Swords, which is like, I don't know that I know what I'm doing with all of this. That whole feeling of like, even though I think I can see things more clearly than I've ever really seen anything before, I also don't really know what this means for me. Like, in terms of Queen of Pentacles energy, Seven of Pentacles energy, the Star. And we got security. So I was really excited about the Star in reverse. Queen of Pentacles came up for you in the last reading I tried to do for you too, and Seven of Pentacles in reverse. I really feel like I also want to bring in the fact that it's winter right now. And it's like, okay, maybe it's like, I'm gonna make it about a garden now. It's like Four of Gems. I see how I can approach things differently in this kind of broader bird's eye view way. King of Swords, just really being authentically myself and allowing me to see myself as I am. I have kind of like clarity on maybe how I can approach things differently, but I don't know what that pragmatically means for me. But I know that I want to build a sense of security, and normally I read the Four of Pentacles energy in a kind of a negative way, like it's like the lack mentality, hoarder type thing. But with here, security and a lock, I feel like it's slightly different than the traditional meaning. I think it's kind of more about looking after ourselves, like kind of having boundaries. I would really say security is about boundaries, and it's about looking out for ourselves and kind of counting a few steps ahead just to be pragmatic and realistic. And it's a little bit of planning ahead for the future vibes, which I don't think is a bad thing. It can come with fear, you know, we can sometimes over prepare or like get into a doomsday mindset, i.e. people hoarding toilet paper. But I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about like, it is good to have a few extra rolls around just for a rainy day. You know, keep it reasonable, keep it healthy. Security, I'm talking about like, oh my god, sorry, not sorry, I'm channeling, so it's coming to me as it's coming to me. And if it makes sense, it makes sense, and if it doesn't, then I guess it doesn't. Okay. So, you're kind of like knowing deep down that you need a new approach, but you're not sure what that is with this Two of Swords to me. Or you're just not sure about the implications or like the practical application of some of those ideas, maybe. Security to me just feels like, okay, I mean, like, here's what I'm getting now. It's like I know what I need to do next for my plan, for my shifts, or I have an idea, but I don't have the full picture. Like, I'm learning new things. I'm learning a new language. I'm learning new skills. I'm learning new ways of being. I'm learning new ways of communicating with people. I'm learning, like, I was just watching on Masterclass, like, the one on negotiations. And, like, there was all this stuff about how we communicate that plays into people's psychology that, like, I had no idea about. Like, these, I don't know, maybe Masterclass should sponsor me. Because I'm not getting paid. I'm not getting paid by Masterclass, but I would not mind being paid by Masterclass, putting that out there. But that's what I'm saying. Like, let's use that as an example. Let's say a tarot reader on YouTube with the followers that I have that I appreciate, but not certainly enough to garner the attention of Masterclass. let's say that was the thing I wanted. And that's like how I want to build my security, is like having, a cushy gig, getting sponsored by a company that has taught me a few things through their overpriced classes. Whoops. But I would like some of that overpriced money, right? Two of Swords. And like, maybe, so that's all I'm saying. This is I'm an example. Two of Swords, like, I don't know how to do that. Star in Reverse, I don't really believe that's possible. I'll be honest, I don't really see that for myself, me being a masterclass sponsored person. It just doesn't feel like that's the type of work I do. It doesn't feel like that's what I value. It doesn't feel like that's something I would even know who to talk to, really, about that. Or would I even feel bold enough to reach out to masterclass and ask? That's what I'm getting with this. That's what I was trying to talk about earlier. Just like, we want to build our security in a new way, and maybe we have these flights of fantasy about how that might be possible, but then when it feels like putting it into order, Queen of Pentacles, getting grounded, getting real, getting like actionable, and like Seven of Pentacles, like planting the seeds, tending to them, like taking the steps, reaching out, or taking the time to think about story ideas, or reflecting on how to approach as I was talking about initially, just like how we communicate and how we negotiate and how we like try to get on the same page as people. Star in Reverse just doesn't feel real. It doesn't maybe feel like we can live out of a Five of Swords mindset. This might feel like this is just the way things have been for so long that it's like we can't really actually see, or don't want to let ourselves see, the new way of doing things to build security, kind of a nest egg for ourselves, to support ourselves financially, even, or emotionally. But this reading doesn't feel so much specifically career or romance to me. It just feels more about you seeing what your habitual thought patterns are and where they might be tripping you up. And again, with all that kind of like Gemini energy at the top, this is all part of, even this reading was kind of weird and all over the place, right? But it's like we're bouncing around even within this reading, and that's fine. It feels like there needs to be structure in a certain way that we do things to make things add up and mean something and, like, be productive. And, like, that's very Capricorn energy. And so things are maybe just not grounded right now. Let's just say that. I think that seems fair and safe to say. December does not feel, to me, for you, Gemini, like a particularly grounded month. It doesn't feel like your head is in the clouds, and, it's kind of off into space, too, a little bit. And that's okay. That's the process you're in. You're in Wonderland. You're in your dreams, right? You're in kind of a place that barely makes any sense to the naked eye. But truly, you really are gaining a lot of insights and clarity and perception. And you're exploring all these different things that are coming at your way. And you're just being you, standing in your own power. You don't necessarily need to be the Queen of Pentacles yet. You don't need to be grounded in how this is all going to work out. Like the masterclass example, I don't have to know necessarily how to call masterclass. It's just, maybe I can notice the Star in Reverse, the part of me that is so insistent that it could never happen. Well, I can allow for the fact that, like, it's not something I'm building towards. It's not really a seed I'm planting. It's not really something that I'm, like, trying to harvest. I'm not grounded in the idea, But I can allow myself to believe, like, maybe it's possible. Who knows how things are going to turn out, right? Who knows how the story goes? There is probably a timeline, probably a universe where that isn't that far-fetched. Or it never happened, and that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about the what will they, won't they, what happens in the external world. It's more about, where am I limiting myself and what's possible for me just with my own beliefs? And just how can I notice that? And how can I get clear on that? And how can I just say, I don't need to be attached or unattached to the idea of certain things happening to me. But I can just kind of notice where I hold myself back and just say good things aren't possible for me at all. Or like great things, or like big things, or like just even supporting myself. Having security isn't possible for me, or it's not possible for me to communicate in a way that isn't totally full of conflict. I think there's just a little bit of a gap between standing in our King of Swords energy, just really being ourselves, really kind of like being totally like exploring our mental landscape and really just kind of like seeing it all clearly from our Gemini, like seeing all sides of an issue, paradox perspective. But then the paradox is, well, like, how do I take that from the void that I've experienced and bring it down here? And I think it's just like, you don't totally need to know yet how that's all going to play out. I don't need to know if I'm going to be a masterclass sponsor or not. But I'm seeing where I was limiting myself from the idea of having any security. But again, the star in reverse, believing that good things can happen for me, believing that my life can improve, believing my finances can improve, believing my skills can improve, believing my relationships can improve, right? That's what I'm really gaining clarity on. I think is some of those self-limiting beliefs. And part of that, we found all that just from being open to new perspectives and exploring all of it. And I think it's like, okay, so this is kind of how I would title your reading. It's like you're getting to know the void. Or if like you were in Wonderland, Alice in Wonderland, you're really like mapping out the terrain and seeing if there are patterns, and like that's like the weather patterns I was talking about. You're just seeing what you're working with. It's really more about that exploration. Novice of Lightning, Page of Wands, that beginner's mindset. And you being you, and knowing that that's okay, and you don't have to have all the answers, Two of Swords. It's okay to feel that you still don't see, but like the blindfold is certainly a choice. It's like she's kind of in a protective mode. Maybe she's still digesting the process. Or, I kind of think about the Oracle. This is just what I'm getting for this right now. But like, this is maybe her third eye, right? And how can she see clearly with her third eye if her eyes are open? She can't, maybe. So like, it's almost like I'm getting a little bit of High Priestess energy between these two. And I feel like that's... And I mean, Oracle of Clouds, this is the Queen of Swords. I guess I've said enough on all this. I think it's fairly clear, but the healing is here for you. It's all really just a matter of how you look at it, right? That's why I'm excited about it. And this is too. This is all a matter of how you look at it, and that's the whole point of this month. It's like you're getting to know the landscape of your mind, because then you'll have a little more of that authority and power and healing just internally. You're in alignment with yourself. So then when you need to get around quickly, you're like, oh, I remember that dream I had connects to this. Like, you're just kind of able to connect dots more easily because you've already connected those dots when you're doing all that frenetic stuff. Oh my god, this reading is so weird. But, I just take it as it comes. So, how would I sum it up? I would just say, Gemini, December. You're being you. You're a little crazy. That's fine. That's how you work. That's just your process and your style. You're a little paradoxical. Fine. Love it. Beautiful. Do it. There's a difference between dreaming and reality. And so maybe there feels sometimes like a disconnect or just a block about approaching things in a new way or believing that security is possible. But, part of the reason the block was there was so you could do this introspection perception, and so you could see clearly. You took the break and you used it to your full advantage, exploring your inner mind landscape, which leads ultimately to you having the opportunity to see where you're blocking your own healing and turning it around, so that you have Aquarius, you know, all that fresh new start. We're moving into the age of Aquarius, and this is the card of Aquarius. So it's like you're really discovering, like, who is Gemini in this new age of Aquarius? Like, who am I now? Who's the new version of me? And what fun am I going to have as a result of me really being in alignment with myself now? And knowing that maybe when I am all over the place, that's just kind of my style, and it'll all come together and have, like, tie back up in the end. And I'll know what to do when I need to know how to do it. Whew, that's perfect. I'm going to leave it there. Glad we got your reading in. I love you. You're crazy, but you're beautiful and amazing, and you keep doing you. You just do you. Don't worry about it. And I love you, and I'll see you in January. Bye.